the heart of the Emberwood, where sunlight fell in dappled coins, and the air hummed with the secrets of old growth, there lived a dragon unlike any other. His name was Aethelwyrm, and his scales were not forged from metal or gem, but from the very essence of the forest itself. They shimmered with the deep green of mossy stones, the silver of birch bark, and the occasional fleck of gold like captured sunlight. He was the Guardian of Unspoken Things, a title he did not choose, but one that had settled upon him as naturally as the lichen on the ancient oaks. Aethelwyrm's magic was not of fire and destruction, but of memory and growth. His breath did not scorch, it coaxed. A single, warm exhalation could heal a blighted sapling, encourage a shy flower to bloom, or make the most tangled undergrowth part into a welcoming path. His great, luminous eyes, the color of amber, did not see just the physical world, but the emotions etched upon it, the joy of a fox cub at play, the sorrow of a weeping willow, the quiet love between intertwined roots. For centuries, his duty was a gentle one. He tended to the woods, and in return, the woods shared their stories with him. He knew the history of every stone, the song of every stream. He was content, but a silence began to creep into the Emberwood. It started at the edges, a subtle graying of the leaves, a hush where bird song should be. The trees grew anxious, their whispers becoming fearful. Aethelwyrm felt it like a chill in his own blood. This was not a sickness of the body, but of the spirit. Something was stealing the joy, the memories, the very stories from the land. He followed the trail of silence to a forgotten corner of the forest, where a young woman named Elara often came. She was the village woodcarver's daughter, known for her own quietness, a deep sadness clinging to her like mist. She would sit for hours by a still pool, her hands idle, her eyes empty. Aethelwyrm, hidden within the canopy, watched her, and in the space around her, he saw it, the magic of the world dimmed. Flowers subtly bent away, their colors fading. The air itself grew still and heavy. Elara was not causing the silence. She was its heart. A great, unspoken grief was trapped within her, and it was leaching the life from everything nearby. His ancient heart ached. This was a blight he could not heal with a warm breath. One afternoon, as Elara sat tracing patterns in the earth, a small, whittled fox figurine fell from her pocket. It was exquisitely carved, full of life and mischief, but a crack ran through its heart. She looked at it, and a single tear traced a path down her cheek before falling onto the moss. Where it landed, the moss turned gray and brittle. Aethelwyrm knew what he had to do. It was a risk, for his greatest magic was intimate and taxing. He emerged from the trees. He did not roar or loom. He simply settled his great, mossy bulk beside the pool, his presence a calm, gentle pressure. Elara looked up, not with fear, but with a weary curiosity. The dragon's eyes held no threat, only a deep, ancient understanding. He lowered his massive head until his brow was level with her. In the center of his forehead, a scale began to glow, not with a blinding light, but with a soft, internal luminescence, like a firefly trapped in jade. It was the scale of shared memory. Tentatively, driven by a need she didn't understand, Elara reached out and touched it. The world dissolved. She did not see her own grief first. She saw the memory of the oak tree above her, feeling the first acorn it ever produced ripening in the sun 300 years ago. She felt the pure, exhilarating joy of the kingfisher as it caught its first fish. She tasted the deep, slow contentment of the mountains that cradled the valley. She was flooded with the countless unspoken joys of 1,000 years of life. And then, gently, the magic turned inward. She saw her own memory, not as a painful wound, but as Aethelwyrm saw it, the loss of her father. But the dragon's magic reframed it. She saw not just the emptiness of his workshop, but the memory of his hands, skilled and gentle, shaping wood. She felt not just the sorrow of his absence, but the warmth of his laughter, a sound she had forgotten. The memory was no longer a stone in her heart. It was a story, a sad story, yes, but a beautiful one, filled with love. The dam within her broke. She didn't weep with despair, but with release, her tears now washing the gray from the moss, restoring its vibrant green. The unspoken grief was spoken at last, not in words, but in feeling, accepted and woven into the tapestry of her life. As she cried, Aethelwyrm breathed upon the cracked wooden fox in her hand. The seam mended, not by glue, but by a tiny, living vine that curled around the fracture, making it whole again, and even more beautiful for having been broken. The silence lifted. Birdsong returned, louder and more jubilant than before. The leaves rustled with relief. The Emberwood breathed a sigh of gratitude. Elara looked at the dragon, her eyes clear for the first time in years. She had no words that felt big enough. She simply placed her hand over her heart and bowed. Aethelwyrm gave a slow, deep blink of his amber eyes, a dragon smile. His scales shimmered, now holding a new memory, the moment a human heart learned to speak the language of the woods again. He had not destroyed the sorrow, he had transformed it, turning a silence that poisoned into a story that nurtured. He settled back into the embrace of the forest, not as a hidden guardian, but as a known one. And often, Elara would return, not to sit in silence, but to carve. She would tell the stories the dragon had shown her, her hands giving shape to the unspoken magic of the world, while a great, moss-green dragon slept contentedly nearby, his scales shimmering with every memory she set free. The end. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.